didn't accidentally hit the stream button. Okay, so we're recording right now, but whatever. So topic is, what's the effect? If in the text chat I'll post extra questions if we need them. What's the effect of your first fighting game and characters on you and your sparring partners' playstyles? So just to make the question more understandable, no? Basically, this means like, how did you start out with? Did that affect how you play today, or maybe you've changed from playing today? There were lessons you had to learn. Maybe you've observed that with the people that you started with. That sort of thing. Anything you can think of that's remotely related to that. And in initially answering the question, you can go on for a while, and if there's something that the other two people that are currently not talking about want to interrupt and ask something, then we'll do that. So pretty free form, right? Okay. So yep. I guess Tim,
Hey.
go ahead.
All right. What was even my first fighting game? I wouldn't really know, because I'm consuming video games from a very early age on, like before I started to read, or I was able to read. But I had an elder brother who brought the whole topic of video games to me, and of course he also played some fighting games, like Street Fighter 2 or something. And of course, I had to choose a character there, which I chose solely and single-handedly on appearance. And it seemed that completely of this single category, appearance, I chose basically all the chat characters that were in Street Fighter in that time.
The charge characters?
So I ended up with Balrog, with Bison. I tried out Guile, because I thought, hey, those guys are looking dope. And not just like Ryu, or Ryu with blonde hair, or Evil Ryu, which is actually called Evil Ryu later on. So yeah. And as I started playing these charge characters, I noticed another thing. When you're playing with an elder brother, you may not be always allowed to look in the trick list, or like we called it back then.
So you mean the move list?
Yes, the move list.
Okay.
So we weren't really playing with the special moves. We noticed, yeah, Ryu can shoot fireballs if you do something, I don't know, magical, but we weren't really using it. So most of the game, if I played with my elder brother or even with my twin brother, revolved around finding, well, now I have a word for it, an opening to your opponent, so the neutral game. And that's why I'm still terribly bad at comboing stuff, or play non-charge characters, for that is.
So it's basically been a constant, is what you're saying, like you stuck with that sort of charge character deal.
Basically.
Okay. I see.
I'm always still looking for them in other games, like Skullgirls, which came much later on, or Street Fighter 4, which has been like the first fighting game I actually played thinking of it as a fighting game, and not just some kind of party game where you mash buttons until someone, I don't know, dies, or is at least KO. But what effect did that had on my sparring partner's playstyles? I don't really know about that. I think Mark, my twin brother, who's also active in the FGM, pretty much has the same problem like me. We're looking a lot more for a neutral game, or demoralizing our opponent, building up pressure, than to do nice combos or setups. And I think that's what really came from that.
I see. Well, it seems to work. I mean, like, sure, adaptability is another thing, but when yesterday in the tournament we had the random game with X-Men versus Street Fighter, no? Oh, yeah. I didn't think I'd crush you, but I did think that I'll probably win this, and judging by your comments, you thought so too, because it's a hyper fighter.
Yes, I did.
But clearly not the case, and like near the end I was like, well, I don't know what to do. I hope this super hits. It didn't. I got lasered. I died.
Okay. Yes, Cyclops certainly did help.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, Vic, if you have questions, or you just throw them in there, right?
Yeah, no, I don't know, right now I'm checking like what game I even played at first. I can't really remember like all the game I played
Sure,
like from
you can
like
prep yourself.
beginning. I was just like checking which
Yeah.
one I started to be competitive with, because I think that's more important to me.
Yeah, I also asked me that question, and the one I really started playing as a fighting game was definitely Street Fighter 4, while I learned what even a damn combo is in Skullgirls, as Son taught me basics of fighting games.
Yeah. which is also funny because I mean Skullgirls was also the first game that I started being competitive with and or started taking seriously. I guess I'll get into that when I get around to that because I have a weird history, I guess, with fighting games.
Also a pretty long one, I guess.
Yeah, also a pretty long one. I guess here I am the eldest with 37. I mean, Ezrael, you're how old?
29.
And I think Vick is barely the youngest with like 28, 27 or something?
28.
28, yeah. So you guys are basically same generation. And
Exactly.
yeah, I'm 10 years older, which in fighting games means a lot, since it makes me arcade generation, even though in Germany I of course didn't really get the opportunity to experience that sort of thing.
Yes. And to conclude
yeah.
the question a little bit, I don't think that the choice of my characters had a lot of impact on my play style or my sparring partner's play style later on, but I definitely stuck with the mechanics, like the charging. And since I had siblings to play with, I always valued neutral game and hitting the opponent's face with a heavy punch a lot more than I did with pesky tricks, combos, or the likes of it.
Okay. Vic, you still checking things out? If so, then I'd...
No.
Okay,
Well,
in that
you
case...
can go, that's fine too.
Okay, I guess. Like it doesn't matter, right? Okay,
Yeah.
So, I started with Street Fighter 2. Like, and World Warrior, like the actual first Street Fighter 2, but the Super Nintendo port. Now, that's not exactly arcade perfect, but almost not as important. And I think like pretty much everyone who starts getting into these games also just looked at like what does the character look like, and at the time I was like more the kind of kid who was like, humans suck unless they have faceless helmets, or or it needs to be some sort of monster. So I picked Blanca, but I also played a lot of Ryu. I don't exactly know why I played a lot of Ryu, but I actually played him nearly as often as I did Blanca, so those were my two first characters. So I actually got to do motions and charges immediately. And yeah, my playstyle then it was well, it's something that I remember a little less, but I know that Vesvin, who also started with World Warrior, obviously, like he hung out at my house and we played on my SNES. Pointed out that like, well, I was extremely grabby back then, just like now, which is also, I mean, how you play Blanca. You Blanca ball in, you grab, or you Blanca ball straight at them. If you can get the right distance, that'll work out. I also prefer just trying to hit people like at the very edges of hitboxes. I just really enjoyed being able to figure out where exactly can you hit people, even if the animation might not be showing that. I don't know, that was kind of my way of enjoying the let's say meta game design aspects of fighting games, whereas like other people are more like into the cancellation and combo stuff. I had no combos whatsoever back then. Like I didn't even understand how to forward into fireball, like crouching medium kick, fireball, stuff like that. Never did any of that. And yeah, I mean, we played some other fighting games of the time. The last Street Fighter I would play is actually Turbo. So while I did sit down one day with Super at somebody else's place. I never played Super Turbo until I played it with Vesvin and then with Vick. And yeah, then other games here and there that I think aren't important, but like when Soul Calibur 1 came out, not Soul Edge, Soul Calibur 1 for Dreamcast, that was the first time where we got into it deeply enough that I actually sat down in training mode and learned a combo. This was at a friend's place, so I always had to ask like, hey, could I when you guys are done with stuff and you are doing your homework, can I go upstairs and just train the combo? And yeah, I was allowed to do that. So over a couple of days I trained a Lizardman combo, which, because I wasn't really aware of video game news as well, was completely invalidated 2 weeks later by the appearance of Soul Calibur 2, in which Lizardman undergoes not as drastic as later character changes, but yeah, like completely changed the character. I didn't learn combo again in Soul Calibur 2 outside of just playing.
That was too traumatic, I guess.
I guess so. Like, yeah. But then after Soul Calibur 2, while we played other stuff here and there, it kind of dropped off, and I basically had like a 15-year break from fighting games until Skullgirls came out, and that's where I actually started with knowing about the FGC fighting game concepts that are with names, like how people are calling it, because of course I knew what neutral was, sorta, or a mix-up, right? It's just we didn't speak about it in those terms. And yeah, just playstyle wise, what I also in Soul Calibur didn't really understand how to mix up and stuff. My friends did, so I was usually more defensive. I was very spacing minded, so it feels like I got half of my wins from my friends going into hard, me grabbing someone with Lizardmen with my back to the stage and throwing them out of the stage. So I was mostly known for going for that, grabbing people, doing silly stuff, right? My win rate, I'd say back then was, compared to my other friends, I was like medium to lower tier, let's say. But like their younger brothers and stuff, and their friends that also played with us, was like an age difference of maybe 6 to 8 years. They well, I trashed them at least, but not Posh's younger brother. He kept playing like Song Mina and stuff like that, and somehow I couldn't deal. I don't know. not very well anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't trash him.
That's a nice addition. Now that you mentioned tier lists, I did play fighting games for a while, but I never got the concept of tier lists because I wasn't competitive until I started talking to you and playing like Skullgirls. But I knew it from another game. I mean, League of Legends, obviously, and as I heard of the concept of tier lists in fighting games, I was like, what? How's this supposed to work? All I know it is from team games, and teams could be OP. How could a single character be overpowered? That was a weird experience.
Yes. And I mean, to be fair, even today, tier lists in fighting games are something that is like hotly discussed, right? When is it applicable? When do you have a say in the matter? When can you even understand what somebody is saying? What sorts of tier lists and from which people? Blah blah blah. It's a big deal. I think everyone can agree that to some extent there is some sort of statement being said with a tier list that isn't worthless, but like where exactly the edge of worth cuts off is something people fight about a lot.
Yeah, I can talk about an experience that was definitely worth learning about tier lists, because finally I had a reason to understand why my Kirby in Super Smash Bros. Melee had no single fucking chance against the Falco of my twin brother.
Yeah, that's
and why Marth was doing so much better.
Yeah, that is.
We didn't have an explanation besides that character is stupid. Nah, you're just bad. Like children are.
Yeah. That's a pretty classic experience. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, but yeah, to answer the part with my sparring partners, I do think to some extent the thing is that the only person that really stuck with fighting games from back in my youth was Wesvin, but I played long enough in my youth to know something about fighting style changes. So the two people that are important here are Posh and Wesvin. Posh was always more of a person that was aggressive but not entirely in your face, so he preferred doing like let's say sweep distance Mortal Kombat players would say. From that distance he'd like to engage and do some sort of mix up. He preferred to ignore people hitting him. He was not of the mind that blocking was useless. That wasn't. He just did not want to be taught a lesson at all. Like, you could not teach this person to stay away by hitting him a few times. He just basically looked at the round and was like, it's okay. You're so defensive, Manolito. You're not gonna hit me again. It's just, and I do think that kind of shaped his fighting style. When we played weapon mode with Soul Calibur 2, always Damascus Sword. So for those that don't know the Damascus Sword, basically it vastly increases your damage. It makes it impossible to block for you, so you can't actually block. In Soul Calibur 2...
But also for the enemy.
Oh yeah, exactly. Which, yeah, makes sense to pick against someone who's mostly trying to block what you're doing. Even if they're doing a bad job, they're not going to do a good job now, so you force your opponent to fight on your level, and Posh was just better at doing that. So yeah, I'd say in general, like, he trashed me even without that weapon. Just, yeah. And he played Mitsurugi and Killik, and I never was able to deal with Killik. Mitsurugi was a stacked matchup for me, but like, I at least was able to play it. Like, I wasn't confused about what to do. I just got murdered. Wesvin, the one that actually stuck around and is still playing today, he hated throws so much. Like, if people really don't know this nowadays, like back then, like sometimes people jokingly say that people in the arcades used the dark art of throwing, no? Because there were just people at that time that were like, the mechanics of fighting games wasn't like set in stone, sorta, right? It was just a new thing, so people had like gripes with aspects that are completely understood today. He never said anything because everybody else in our group was cool with anything done in fighting games. We did the cheapest stuff. So to be fair, I was lucky enough to be in a group that wasn't like, no, you don't get to do this. But he told me that every time he got thrown, he fucking hated it, and he hated Blanca so much for doing that shit all the time. So what he did was try to do this weird staying away from the throw game and playing neutral that way, which I don't really understand, but during Skullgirls it made more sense to me, because when he started playing Fukua, what he did was some sort of mid-range zoning to avoid my grab range and my zoning at the same time with Peacock. No?
Yeah,
and
that always felt weird in terms of range.
Yeah, so he's like outside of mid-range, but also not like way in the zoning range further away. So he just like sticking around for that. He would be a phone-on player, I think, yes. Like, I think that would be the type of character that he'd like, but to be fair, there aren't many of those characters, and he doesn't play those games, so he's just never encountered this sort of thing. But yeah, I think he'd play like these kind of control-type characters. That's exactly the range that he'd enjoy. In Soul Calibur 2, he played Spawn, because Spawn. So Xbox version. So it had nothing to do with how he played in other games. But he did like flying up and just smacking down, so I guess that's the closest thing you can do. But I mean, you have to do that as Spawn, so it's not really not really anything. So I do think that like that affected his playstyle, and I mean, that also affected me, right? It basically tells me that if I can get him very far away or very close, that's good for me. So I think that's sort of how the meta affected one another. I think that about answers it, so I'd move on to Vic, if he wants.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, I played a lot of fighting game like solo when I was younger, and I didn't realize shit. Like I played Dota 2 on Game Boy Advance, but I didn't realize there was special moves.
Which games?
So Street Fighter 2 on Game Boy Advance.
I see. Okay.
Yeah,
That's a good port, if I remember correctly. It's not?
It seemed like to be apparently a really, really bad port.
Then
But
I must be thinking of something else. Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
never
one
mind.
of the game.
Yeah.
I did not understand shit. I think I picked Chun-Li at the time, and I did not understand anything. So same for a lot of other games. So I guess it is not really worth mentioning. As you said, Soul Calibur 2, I guess I did start kind of with that to be like competitive. I just was just friends. My best friend and is like two brothers. So yeah, I played a lot, but I didn't learn like real technique. Like I guess I mean internet was not that big at the time, and tutorials on internet were not really a thing. So I was playing Voldo. I was playing really basic Voldo. That's can I it? Did try a lot of characters like Astaros, Mitsu, Talim, Kilik. Yeah, I just liked it Voldo because it was a weirdo. You could do cool shit like rolling on the ground and taunting your enemies. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, he's definitely kind of unique in appearance and style.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Also, we were playing mainly in the weapon bonus mode, where you could select like the specific like weapons. So I guess that's also kind of weird. We barely ever played the normal mode actually.
Oh, yeah. I guess to mention that something that we also played a lot, and I think as just like the statement with Wet Mob, this holds true for many people that played Soul Calibur 2. We played a lot in the 8-character team mode, where you had 8 characters versus 8 characters. If one goes down, the next one gets sent in. So I had a full.
The same.
Yeah.
Having like
done that.
we were more like having a team than having a character, and we did the same on the Dreamcast with our with the neighbor's kid, where we played Dead or Alive 2. There we did the same.
I think I was already in the mind of I need a main and I'll get good with this main more than playing. Well, I was playing a lot of characters, but they were less important than Voldo. So yeah, I guess I was reading the mind of having one good main is better than 10 like subpar character.
And to be fair, but same for my group of friends. It's just that we also had the team.
Yeah. I don't know why we did never play the team. That's funny. But well, whatever. Real game where I started to be competitive is Super Smash Bros. Brawl on Wii. Because like, well, high school, bunch of my friends had like the Wii. We played Smash Ball, and I was kind of like the guy that tried to teach my friends to play better. So to not mash the B button and learn like advanced technique and stuff like that. YouTube was starting to be a thing, so more tutorials, more awareness thanks to that. I even think like Nintendo did like some tutorials at the time, teaching like SDI, DI, and stuff like that.
So this is around 2005, 6, 7?
I think let me see the release date. I think it's 2008 for Smash Bros.
Oh yeah.
I think that's
right. I was going more with the start of YouTube rather than the start of Brawl, because I was just trying to contextualize.
Yeah, no. So 2008 for Brawl.
Yeah.
That's where like I really started to be looking into competitive, mainly thanks to internet. Like before, I was not really using internet/computer at all. I was like more a console player. So yeah, with high school, like checking internet, seeing that people took some games seriously actually, and there was like techniques and stuff. So I had a lot of fun to looking for that. I played at first Zero Suit Samus, ZSS. Um, hmm. I don't know if she really shaped anything.
She
What I
shaped that
love.
Zero Suit, definitely.
Hey, having your high heels in combat definitely increases your performance, okay?
Apparently. Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Vic,
Hmm.
we might scared him.
I think maybe something happened with his mic, or that, or something else. But yeah, like until he's back.
Yeah, I could add something.
Yeah, please
Because
do.
when we were talking about the team battle thing, and I mentioned that live, I remembered something different completely. Because some fighting games have like the same mechanics, and some got completely different ones. Like when I played, for example, Mortal Kombat, I think it was the fourth part, which is supposed to be one of the worst. Um, Special moves were completely different, like in other games. It felt to me. And when we played Dead or Alive on the Dreamcast, it had this counter mechanic we actually used and like started basically mainly using it. And when I went back to playing a round of not Soul Edge, Soul Calibur on the GameCube, we started using it there too. And we played Soul Calibur before, but ignored the active defense thingy like totally back then. It's nice how you can learn from other fighting games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely a thing. Though back then I didn't notice this as much. Like nowadays, the way my skill sets evolved is that Vick got booted. Yeah, I guess he's had a crash. Hopefully not
Yes.
too bad. So I've been trying to learn Rushdown, everybody knows, and trying to learn how to pressure people, and I've mostly done that in the game that we ended up playing a lot regularly over the last few months, Melty Blood, because it's there every time, and my character kinda needs to do that because she's normally like an execution heavy character with her B&B. And I can do it, but it's like very hard to learn to land and match, and I just decided I'm going to do some easier combos instead and just try to actually do stuff, and that helped me a lot. Like in every other game that I've come to, including Akatsuki Blitzkampf and some others, like I just am much more proficient now with being able to tell, now I hit the button to leave a small gap, and then I hit this button, or I hit these few buttons to make him think that I'll follow up, but actually I'll use that to move in and figure out stuff like that. That's just something that was very alien to me for most of my life, and that's nice. And also, like, I mean, like the example you gave, just parrying a lot in Blitzkampf and in in BlazBlue with Hakumen just makes parrying in every other game so much easier for me. It's just like something that comes natural now. Yeah. So Vic was going to continue a story, but I guess we'll fill more time with other things. Yes.
I think we both kind of answered the initial question. So either we get to another one, or we share stories of about our evolve into what we are now fighting game wise.
Yeah, let's do both sort of at the same time, because all the other questions I have to do with the same central topic, basically. So So the thing that I was thinking is, because this kind of makes one think about what one has said so far, is I posted in the text chat, are the characters games you think you or others, specific people or in general, should play to work on specific playstyle changes? Like, is there something you think someone should or could learn from specific characters, maybe someone specific that you know, or just people in general that you see not using stuff a lot? I mean, that can often be an opinion that one can have, right? So yeah.
Hey, welcome back,
Back.
Vic.
And Vick is back.
Isn't
So
it
that
the
Hmm? What happened?
Isn't it the best when you're talking and then suddenly your rotor decides to shut down? Yay.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
nice.
Tim, do you remember what the last thing was that Vick was talking about?
No.
No. Okay, but let's hold off on the second question that I put here. I think, Vic, you were explaining that you were like on 2008 YouTube, you looked at stuff for Smash Brothers Brawl, and you were the kind of person that tries to teach like their other play like sparring partners, play people, how to do things. Yeah.
Basically
going
trying
into
to
that.
not mash and play more competitively and with the brain. Because that was like the main problem of people just like mashing Fireball with Mario and doing stupid stuff. But yeah. What I was talking about. Yeah, I think I was talking about glide toss and how I actually liked it, like playing with items, not items in the root stats, but items with like characters items. ZSS was starting with armor piece at the start of the round. Yeah, and then I switched to Peach, which I think did affect my gameplay quite a lot. This, Smash Bros. Ball is not about combo, so it's more like about short stuff and neutral, and being good at defense. And Peach like added, good mobility and object with physics, which is a thing I generally like. There's a lot of character. I heard a bit. Okay, no, that's not me disconnecting again.
It's Andele. Hey, Andele.
Hey.
Hi.
I'm sorry I'm late. My sleep schedule is all fucked up since I had the party yesterday, a few days ago.
It's alright, we're still at it.
woke up.
You can. Oh, wow. You can easily add it on the next question or even start with the first one. But Vic was just saying something.
Yeah.
Yep, we're still at it.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Good.
So
No,
just if you hear someone say something that's interesting, you want to say something to it, add to it. Other than that, yeah, it's Vick's turn sorta right now. Okay, Vick, continue.
Yeah. So yeah, Peach like added like the physics item thingy, which is a thing I still like even today's with multi power seal, by example. Like having a projectile that I can hit and change like the path and all.
Yeah.
That's a really cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So when Marvel vs. Capcom 3 came out, let me check that, because that's when I started to look at 2D fighters as a thing.
Yeah. 211, 212, I think.
I think yes, something like that. 211, yeah. So in February. So yeah, I was really hype about this one. Sadly, not a lot of my friends were into it. So I played with, I don't know, 1 or 2 friends, but quickly they didn't like the fact that you could get comboed for a long time with big air quotes, because I was just doing ABC launcher, BBC like spike them down and super. So that's not a long combo, but for them it was already like too big. So I didn't play it that much, to be fair. But that's kind of when like I watched a lot of video on like, well, how to play and stuff like that, because the card is not on a button. That's weird. You have to go close up. What's cross up? And stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, at this point, certainly when I find the website eLive 2, which was like, I don't know, something to sync a YouTube video and comment on it. So a lot of people like were using that as to comment matches or comment speedruns and stuff like that. So that's where like Ken Bogard did start a bit. So I watched like Ken Bogard video tutorials and a lot of stuff like that. Some like American shows too, like cross counters, a bit of like Ultra Chen and stuff like that.
Like Ultra David and Chen Chenzor?
Yeah. James Chen. Yeah.
James Chen,
yeah. So that's why like I started to watch them and learn about that.
Yeah.
Sadly, I was learning but not playing, so that's when I finally found out like on the same website as a Vanguard Princess community, and that's like when I started to play for real. So yeah.
Sorry. I mean, I know this part of the story personally, right? But it's just funny to me every time. It's like, yeah, I picked waifus in all of these games, except that one time where I played Voldo. But when I really started playing seriously was Vanguard Princess, and it's just funny. But it makes sense, right? Because like you just you described like the popular games, and there were some people around that did play them, but not to the type of seriousness that people come to like an indie fighting game. It's just kind of the thing, like people have a more serious approach to those games probably because they're already like niche, I guess.
I guess. I mean, to be fair, I think I was just lucky to have like PPN and many PPN at the time, then Masabe and all. They were like just we become a good friend, like talk about anime and stuff. It's just like
a la Vanguard group, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like at the time, what was it like? Street Fighter 4. I could not get the game, or I had the game, but I had no online, and no friend to play with, so I was not really interested. Plus, the combo were looking really harsh to do. I had already like enough problem to do like any combo on Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and it was supposed to be an easy game. So yeah, Street Fighter 4 was like a bit too daunting to play, like too hard. It was cool to watch though. But yeah. So, and yeah, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, nobody wanted to play, and no online too. So that's why like Vanguard Princess was good because it was free. It was good for like a cheap me at the time. I had internet on my PC, so I didn't have to play for online stuff. So that's basically why. Plus, not a lot of player, so just friends and stuff, and getting good slowly but surely. Kinda.
Yeah. Try to get around describing that portion and trying to wrap it up in like 8 minutes, so we can switch to Andele, so Ezrael hears a little bit more before leaving. Anybody who has questions to Vic, by the way, just throw them at him.
Nothing. Yeah. So Vanguard Princess. Well, played Natalia, which is a lot of Okizeme and a lot of blocking because she doesn't have a lot of tools except that.
She's sort of like Balrog, right?
She is Balrog,
like the boxer.
Yeah. She can mix with like overhead lows, rush punches, let's say. So that's where the Okizeme come from. But everyone in the game has like better range and like is faster, so they can interrupt most of her stuff. And she doesn't have reversal. So yeah, she has trouble with it. But that's where I learned blocking, being good at blocking. So that was interesting. Yeah, I think that. I mean, I don't want to re-go to Turbo and Samurai Showdown because I played them like just for fun with the other Vanguard crew.
Yeah. So, how do you think that that story shaped your
Yeah.
playstyle, so to speak, and your playmates, or like, I don't know, sparring partners, whatever.
Sparring partners, I don't know. I can't really tell because I don't think I did influence them that much. Like if I take by example Masabe, I don't think I shaped him into anything. For me,
You perhaps. Maybe he shaped you, like that way around was also something.
Neither.
Okay.
No. My character shows like as Peach and Natia like shaped me way more than my
Other
sparring
players.
partners, I guess.
Okay.
Like basically, mobility is the thing I value. Good range overall. Having a projectile, but not really just a straight fireball. Something that has like more physics or more utility to it. So yeah, that's mainly it. And having command grab is good because Natia has a command grab too.
Yeah, I noticed. Though I play the grappler in that game. Screw that
Yep.
it hop dash into command grab thing where it's basically like you cannot time your old 360 with that and grab her out of that attempt. Just
No,
wow.
but you can eat her easily, I guess.
Yeah, you can hit her, and on Oki I guess you'll just have to jump. But yeah.
Yeah.
That's how that is. Yeah. Okay, so I guess that's sort of good. So what we'll do now is on data, since he just came in, if you check the text chat, we're currently not doing question number 2, we're still doing the first question. We just had that because Vick got booted briefly and Ezrael and I needed something to talk about while we waited that he came back. So basically, yeah, what's the effect of your first fighting game and characters on you and your sparring partners' playstyles? Take your time to discuss it. Ezrael needs to leave in about 20 minutes, so if you can get to your main points in 20 minutes, so just so Ezrael knows, even if you won't be able to answer a question, anything about that, that would be good. Then we'll
Will be a
continue without
test,
him.
and you'll have to answer everything right.
Exactly. Vote with those who don't pay attention.
But yeah, I guess I could just get right into it. I think my first fighting game that I took more serious than just fooling around a bit and playing whatever was actually Super Smash Bros. Brawl back in the day. And some people wouldn't really say that it's like a real fighting game, and at some points I agree because it's a different kind of game. It's a platform fighter. They have by now their own genre, but back in the day it was like the first thing that I took more serious. That resembled something like a fighting game. So I'm just gonna talk about that a bit. I thought. So I started that out way back with a friend. At first, obviously, because it's like some party game, we just played a bit and goofed about and just did whatever. But at one point, my friend, he began looking stuff up online because he saw like one thing that someone could do, and then he was like, well, maybe there's more to it, and looked more into it. And from that point on, he gradually became better and better because he looked stuff up and checked how to do certain things. And I started to do that as well and learned from him. So from this casual just playing around, within like a few weeks, became relatively competitive with the two of us, which was fine because it was just the two of us, and we both got good and we played at tournaments and things. But at some point, what's the really interesting aspect for me is I had a friend join me in Smash Brothers that I knew from school. He just said he liked the game, so I was like, oh, I play this game a lot. I would love to play with you some, and we played. And I quickly found out that he was one of those famous casuals. So at first, playing the rounds and stuff, it was clearly that because I knew more, I just dominated the games, and I could see he still played, which was like interesting to me because he didn't just quit because he was losing all the time. He had fun just playing his character, and when he hit me with his weird things he did, he was happy even if he wasn't winning. So from that point on, when I knew that friend, it's like where I want to focus on because I could really see how he evolved through me teaching him, which I find really interesting. So from that day on, when we started, I kind of started to teach him a few things, and Brawl he wasn't really into it. But once the next game came out, Smash 4, he seriously attempted to like get good together with me. So yeah, from that day on, I could just see what he mained. He was like really into like one or two characters were aggressive rushdown characters that were really in your face and really tried to open you up by just putting pressure on you in a multitude of ways. And I could really feel how him getting better started to change my playstyle a bit. Because back in the day, I just played some mid-range characters that just could kind of do what they wanted without needing to worry about. But as he got better over time, it was got more and more difficult to do what I wanted to do. So I had to actually adapt and learn how to deal with this pressure that it was putting on. Yeah, that was really interesting to me because over time I could see him adapting things I was doing and being surprised when suddenly he did cool stuff that I did to him before. And it was getting harder and harder to just win against him because I knew more. So from that point on, I had to actually advance more in the game as well, and so my fun increased again, my fun levels.
You leveled up in fun. That's great.
Yeah, and we both actually started like being semi-competitive, which was really, really nice to see that like growing from this casual player, my friend actually just by playing against someone who was better than him, he grew to like that game so much that he actually, even though he didn't own it himself, he only played it with me, and he still got like to a level which was really comparable to mine. I could play more characters because I had more time with the game, but when we played against each other, he and his main it was balanced games. We didn't just ruffle stomp each other or something.
Mhm.
So that was an interesting part of me to see, and this drags on all the way through like this new Smash game that we're playing together. And nowadays, I think like at some points, because he only plays one character, he really plays that one character very well. And if I don't counterpick him, I feel like I lose more to him nowadays.
Nice.
Such an interesting development to just see and notice how my friend just like adapted what I taught him, and from the very beginning, because I could see him growing up from knowing nothing to actually being like really good now.
Yeah, I really like this adaptation thing in friendship playing, because usually it's, I don't know, goofing around, but if someone finds like a trick, how you might call it, or a combo, or something cheesy like others would call it, people have to adapt to it. And it can take some time. You can be the champion for a while, but it can go really fast. Like I remember when I played Skullgirls and started with Parasol, everyone else was vastly ahead of me. Even though I got better, I usually lost. But then I started taking Beowulf with me in the combo, and this was a character nobody else expected and wasn't really experienced playing against, except for Vick, who didn't give a shit. But the others had like real problems to adapt, and there was like a span of a day or two, I don't really know anymore, where I was the undisputed champion of Umbrella and Chair because nobody could cope with the pressure, and it was really funny.
Stuff like that is super interesting to see. Like, as an example with my friend again, at first in Smash Bros., grabbing is like an essential part of the game, and it's like if you don't grab, you basically can't win, because shields are like the best option, and grab is the option that beats shields naturally. So at first, he really didn't like grabbing. He was like, that's for pussies, I'm just gonna attack my enemy with my giant sword, and that's why he kept losing.
Oh yeah, another Ike player. I got it.
Yes, exactly. Brawl, he only played Ike. But over time, he just accepted the fact that he can't just do that. And then I showed him, like, with another character, I showed him some fun grab combos, and I did that to him over and over until he himself, basically grabbing was his main playstyle. He played a grappler type character at the end, at least in Smash 4. And it's like, at first he was so against it, but then he adapted that and it was his favorite thing to do.
Nice
Complete
development.
180.
Yes, exactly.
That's
Oh
fun.
yeah, and that's like the thing with Smash. That's why I find it interesting, and I can talk about that a bunch because I like saw how my friend evolved. But as for me myself, I think my first three fighting games that got me into fighting games was probably Denginki Bunko Fighting Climax.
Oh,
Because
really recent.
Yes, not the Ignition one, the old one.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a bit older, but still not like I'm not in fighting games that long. But I found that one because it mixed like anime and fighting games, and at the time I was more into anime, so I was like, hey, this game fun. I played against one person. We had one person in our group who actually could play fighting games, and he beat all our asses. And I started to become like, I don't want to fucking lose. I'm gonna train this game. I'm gonna beat his ass. And so that's how I got into fighting games, because I wanted to be because I didn't want to lose anymore.
I see. Two follow-up questions. So one is, what's your exact age? Like 21, 22?
Yes, I'm gonna turn 20 here.
Yeah,
That was swallowed a little bit.
that
Might
was
you
swallowed
repeat
a
it?
bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know my PC just went into rest mode because it didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 21 and I'm gonna turn 22 this year.
Okay,
Thanks.
interesting. Okay, so you're the youngest here. Yeah, so I think I understand your story. That's pretty good. How do you think that your story affected your playstyle, kinda? I think, at least me personally, I'm not fully clear on that one. Just
Yeah, I kind of didn't know how to really describe that, because like it's always hard to see if you're not looking at it like objectively and from the outside how playing with your friend with whom you always play affects your game. Because at the end of the day, it 100% affected my gameplay in some points, because he plays a certain kind of way and I learned to play around that way. For example, he really played one character for a really long time and he beat me with it. But when I played against someone else in a tournament who used that character, I beat their ass because I knew how to play against the character. But from my own perspective, it's really hard to see to say exactly
Oh,
how
sure.
that influenced me, because
Yeah,
I think. Go ahead.
no, finish your thought.
I think that like the only thing that I actively noticed how it affected me is like I didn't learn to play styles that he didn't like to play against, because I was mostly playing with a friend. So if I played like a zoner shooter character, he would be pissed off all the time and at some point wouldn't want to play. So I never learned how to play that kind of playstyle. I only learned these like in your face or slightly zoning with like a sword or something playstyles, because those fit my friend and we could have fun that both have fun that way. And I think that's why I'm so bad against predictor characters these days, because I never even played them myself to a more serious degree.
I see. Yeah, I think that might be a common story for a lot of people. It's like zoners much more than grapplers. Though grapplers have pissed off various people across the ages. Zoners really get people pissed, and this is something that I and my group of friends did not know about at all, because everyone was super a-okay with any kind of zoning. Like we didn't even talk about it. It never crossed our minds that there could be something wrong with someone shooting all the time, because to us it was just there was an obvious disadvantage. You weren't moving forward, and someone might jump over your fireball and kick you, so you had to be careful. So we just it never occurred to us to actually talk about that. But like it seems most other people found people that were blocking a lot or shooting a lot obscenely annoying. But yeah, I guess that's just different friend circles handle things differently. Sort of to finish, so I think you already started explaining that point, Andela. So I think you actually described how this affected, like how you started approaching fighting games. Do you think your first experiments or your first characters that you started using affected you in some sort of way that you still see today, or maybe is no longer true today, that you like stuff that you used to do a lot that you don't do today? Something like that?
I think I see that a lot, because back in the day, back in the Brawl days when I really started first getting into the game, I played different kind of characters than I play nowadays, because the friend also played differently. He wasn't that super aggressive rushdown character. He played a more mid-range kind of game, and so did I. I picked a character that does did something similar. Like I played Wolf a bunch in Brawl, and it's like a mid-range good. He can rush down, but he can also just adapt and play at mid-range and uses good range to zone people out. I used to do that a lot, but once I switched over to playing with my friend mainly that played Rushdown, I noticed how that fell off more and more. And in the new Smash game, they added Wolf back in. And at first I was like, yeah, I'm going to main him again because I mained him in Brawl. But his playstyle didn't even appeal to me that much anymore, even though it was exactly the same as I did back in the day. I won a tournament with him with that exact playstyle, but nowadays I'm like, this is okay, but I don't really like it that much. I think once I started with playing with my more aggressive friend, in every game I picked more aggressive characters. Like in Dengeki Bunko, I played Kirito, who's like this super explosive character that just builds a bunch of meter and then uses it all in one explosive combo to kill the enemy within like 2 hits. And in every game, I just tried to play fast and not like a kind of zoning game. It's like I think I diverted from my original character choice, even though I really liked it at the time.
I see. Gotta go fast, huh?
Mm-hmm. Gotta go fast, and I want to punch people fast.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And I think yeah,
I
please.
think the part that you mentioned about the zoning characters, which Sanov also commented on, really also applies to my group of friends, because we were all playing on a computer, or maybe sometimes on a console if we were with a friend. We were completely oblivious on how Z motions or 360s even started to work. So nobody played characters with those moves. I got hit by my first Shoryuken of a player by Manolito in Super Street Fighter 4, I guess. Like, what? Jump in is not the ultimate solution? I don't know what this is anymore. And yeah, you gotta learn this stuff sooner or later.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's... Please, yeah?
Go ahead. This kind of stuff is also like really fun to see. It's like when you counter something that someone else thought was the ultimate option. Like in when I played that tournament that I talked about, it was also in the finals. I played against a guy that also just always jumped in. So it was just like I shielded and then I punished the jump in because that's how you punish jump ins in Smash. And it's like he did that over and over. He never stopped because either he was too nervous or he just didn't know how to deal with that. So weird to see if you yourself already know what to do there.
Out of personal interest, because I know only a little bit about this, you mentioned that this was at a tournament. As far as I know, I mean, like 3 of us here, everyone except for Vick is German. Vick is French. If I remember correctly, there were these Nintendo gatherings every now and then where people played like Smash Brothers and Mario Kart competitively together. Was that one of those?
It wasn't like no, it wasn't like a small anime con. They just had a little tournament where you could win like something, and I entered that for shits and giggles. I didn't even know it at first that it was a tournament, but then I won the tournament.
I see.
Because it wasn't like super high level, but it was still like some people were pretty good. My friend took those out, and in the finals I played against people that were way too nervous for being in finals.
Okay, yeah, I mean that makes sense. But the Raider story, I mean Funfen had one of those too, right? He's like at E3 or something, and they have a Guilty Gear tournament there, and it's like, well, yeah, time to weed out all the people that don't really know what they're doing to get the free prize. Just yeah.
Yeah, I did about the same there. I got my Wii U that way.
Nice.
Yeah. Yep. Just okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we really got to the main question, no? So considering the time, even though Ezrael might be cut off, do you have anything to say about the second question that we then started but didn't really do anything with? Like, are there characters / games you think you or others, perhaps specific, perhaps people in general, should play, to work on specific playstyle changes or improvements or anything? Like maybe just
yeah,
quality of life. You need to know the existence of charges, something. I don't know.
Yes, you have to release the and no, not on the life especially. But I think it's important if you're up against a certain archetype, you don't favor yourself, like zoning or grabbing, that it helps tremendously to try them out yourself, to see just what are the actual problems of someone playing that characters. I never really got into countering a zoning character because nobody really liked playing them in my vicinity until I played against your peacock and had to dodge 1,000 bombs and other thing flying and trying to hit me in the head. So I guess it's important. Also the same with what I just mentioned, the how do I even do Shoryukens thingy? Well, if nobody uses Shoryukens or anti-airs in general, besides flash kicks, it's hard to adapt the playstyle around them, which is completely vital. Like jump in, sadly, isn't the only solution to close in. And heavy punch is not always the best option, sadly. I learned that now.
It's not a pressure tool.
Jumping heavy punch is a pressure tool and will ever stay that way, no matter how often Vick beats my butt claiming it's not.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I think it's important to play. It's not important to start out as a Ryu, but you have to play him once in a while to get the direction the game designers even try to develop and to balance the game. I think that's an important part to see even why is a Sonic Boom usually stronger than a Hadouken? Well, because a Hadouken is a motion and a Sonic Boom is a charge, and charges are usually, not always, but usually tend to have more power. And that's something you don't get if you only play charge characters. Look at me.
Indeed.
Yeah, I'm still pissed off that Balrog's punches don't cut flame balls in half and just get directly into the face of the enemy, but there's a certain way of balance to it, and I don't think I would have gotten that ever if I would have sticked with charge characters all the time.
You should play Big Ben.
Yeah, I was told so, but so far I don't plan on taking a third character in my Skullgirls team.
Yeah. Or just Street Fighter, the movie, the game, where Balrog just reflects fireballs by blocking. Just blocking.
That seems even more ridiculous than my proposition, but yeah.
Yeah. He might not be a charge character in that game, though. That game's really weird. Okay. I see. Okay, so more like in general, basically. I mean, that's advice that
yes, definitely. Like you should look at each archetype from once in a while, and even try to find some you didn't have a clue on they exist. Until I played Kagura, I didn't even know that this weird thing on stance characters, which have more than like one stance move, really exist. Besides some hint in, I don't know, how was he even called? Lao or something like that in Tekken 3.
Oh.
Where he does some kung fu shit, and I was like, that looks like certain stances. Whatever.
Yeah. I have super strong opinions about one should check out Ryu to get what fighting game designers are trying to do with the game, because he's the basic character, but I don't want to go into those because I'll talk too much.
Well, I softened it up with saying you don't have to start as a Ryu, but it helps understanding why, for example, charge characters pack more punch or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I guess I'll split the order up from last time, and I'll have Dela answer this one next, and then Vick, and then I'll say something, and probably Ezrael will be gone by then, unfortunately, but yeah.
Yes, I just wanted to add to not cut it in half. I'll just say bye now, since I was able to give my comment. Thanks for that.
No problem.
You all have more fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Also, jumping heavy punch is a pressure tool.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Then, yeah, Undata. I guess you saw the question or remember it. Like, it's in the text chat if you need to look at it again.
All know, since I'm like I have like the least experience with like different fighting games and 2D fighters and stuff. The only thing I can really say to that is like, if you want to playing Smash, it's a really different experience, and I'm not sure as to how much it helped me understand 2D fighters, because in Smash, like in 2D fighters, I'm so often confused why people can just jump in and have no lag and instantly do other things and pressure on. Because in Smash, you have to do really specific moves and land at specific angles to do that. It's like way harder to just jump in and be safe and stuff like that. So I think that maybe playing that made it harder for me to really get into 2D fighting games, since it was so different. So many things, so many rules I learned don't apply. But as for normal games that I think people should play, or characters, I think I'm about the same opinion as Karman, because like, if you don't know how to play against a certain type of character, play them yourself for a bit and have other people beat you up, so you see where the holes in the pressure or in your game plan lie, so people can exploit those, so you can see what kind of moves and what kind of things fuck you over. But besides that, I don't really know enough like special fighting games that I think people should play with like weird rules or things that teach you basic thing.
Sure. Okay. Vic.
Don't really have anything special to say. It's true that like playing another character to learn where the fault is and stuff like that is a thing, but I don't think you need that to really progress. It really depends what you want to. If you want to be like really high level, yes, you should do that. If you want to just get better, there is other way to just learn matchups by watching videos, analysis, and stuff like that. That I don't feel you need to play other characters that much. But yeah, I don't know. To be fair, I play characters that are fairly balanced and do multiple things. So I guess I'm not really like just in one archetype of like just rush down or just zoning. So maybe I'm a special case of I'm mixed already. I don't need to play specific archetype. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, just your assessment of yourself. Because it's sort of like this. When I see you pack out a grappler, let's take a very specific situation. Breaker's Revenge, the Native American grappler, what's his name? Thunder?
Tomahawk, yeah.
Tomahawk. they all have these names, right?
Exactly.
It's just this very stereotypical thing. So Captain Chief McThunderpants. You know how to approach with the grappler, but you're actually more reticent of creating situations that I feel like someone that has made a grappler for a while would create, to create more openings for command grabs. Instead, you just work off of the fear that probably causes in the opponent, and do more things, other things that grapplers would do, i.e. try to provoke jump outs and punish those, or use like their mid-range normals to hit and get in a good way. Like, you do way more of that than setting up command grabs, but you know how to set up a command grab. Like, that seems like the main difference. So I'm not going to say that you're like a jack of all trades, master of none. That's clearly not the case. I think there are aspects actually where you are better than others, but it's clear that you have like a general idea of most aspects in fighting games when it comes to archetypes, unless we're talking about really specific things. I've just never seen you play a lot with stance changing, so I don't know how much of a grasp you have on stuff like that, but that's super specific.
Ayoi. Or you mean like other type of stance character?
No, that applies, but I guess if that's the only place, then I think that's more the fault of BlazBlue. You weren't very proficient at it, but I mean, I've only seen you do
pretty
that.
Good at it, to be fair, but
sure. Yeah. No, like, because I don't. This is getting really specific, so I'll cut it short after saying something and letting you reply. like something that I think is very important with stance characters is swapping stances to change at what neutral range the readiness of your opponent is. No, so basically you want to be like doing neutral where the danger zone is clear, and then swapping when you know the opponent is concentrating on that, and then hitting things. But that's not really something that Ezrael does, and it's not something you do in BlazBlue, which is why I'm saying it's sort of like this part I couldn't tell if you're proficient in, because Ezrael's stance changes have more to do with I need to use my resources now to use my teleports and other moves, so it's not the same.
I think I was like actually switching to neutrals and stuff like that with the stance, but yeah, as you said, it's not the thing that Ezrael does. It's not against Street Fighter 4 or stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really like black or white. Do you have resources? Yes, use them.
Yeah.
Don't have any resources? Go back to neutral stance.
Yeah.
And even though I was switching back and forth, even if I had resources, go back to neutrals, it was really more like depending some matchup. But
yeah, matchup is it good for the situation right now for me, rather than like using it as a specific mind game tool, except for the activation when do I go to use my resources, right? Yeah, that I did notice. Yeah.
Just like as a quick on the grappler thing, it's also like, because with Natalie I was trying to grapple like a bit too much. I just know that grappling too much is not a thing. You want to actually grapple just a bit to threaten them, and then you do other stuff that will basically cause them to jump out, and then you grapple again. So that's why I'm more like not so much focused on just grappling all the time, I think.
Yeah, I do agree that that's how to play a grappler. Just you can really tell that this is like way more your focus. Okay, so I guess I'm the one with the strong opinions on this subject. So I do agree with everything people said. I mean, those are like, I think, general things. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because I mean, like, sometimes general opinions are the best opinions to hold, right? They can be right. And in this case, I think it's the case. Like, if people have trouble, then maybe playing that character can help. But you could also try playing against that character or looking up things. Whatever works good for you. A combination of everything is usually the best. But I do think that people that aren't, that have played, like, never played, and I think specifically these two archetypes is where people have the most problems with, grapplers or zoners, then they really need to play those. Not just so they don't get stomped by these characters. That might be something that you can learn to avoid on your own. But I feel like people don't get how grapplers and zoners want to play, because this is actually very different. So Shoto's Rushdown, a bunch of other characters kind of have an idea about what they want to do, and usually involves what fighting games involve, like positioning, where do I want my hitboxes to hit, that sort of thing, to be like very general. And they share sort of the high-low mix-up game that that most characters in fighting games can do. Setting up grabs used to be something that was way more important in older fighting games than it is now. Nowadays, you don't have to. In most games, you don't think about, okay, I'm going to set my mix-ups up so that I can grab the person. Grabbing is just one more tool that you have in your mix-up game when you got the other guy to block, but it's not something you specifically push towards, and you usually don't specifically push towards punishing jumping out of the grab. So people seem to have like they don't understand what the grappler player is trying to do to them, so it feels, what I hear a lot is people think like it's kind of random playing against grapplers. They grab you, big damage, you didn't get lucky, the other guy's a scrub. That's just and I've even heard this from people that play grapplers a little bit. So God Kaiser grabs too much when he plays grapplers, right? But he could do a lot worse. Like, he does actually get how to play it, but his opinion still is, because I guess that's what he kept hearing, and because he's never actually put time specifically into a grappler that fighting a grappler is kind of random. So he just wins randomly if he takes Tager, right? But no, there's so much you can do wrong as a grappler. Like grabbing too much or grabbing the wrong situation, not getting in. Tager is like one of those classic guys who just doesn't have a forward dash.
He was replaying Tigger?
Yeah, he played Tager a little bit. On the side, no? Like his character in Central Fiction at least was Jubei. I forget actually who he played before that. I know at some point he played a little bit of Hakumen, but that was before he understood how to play the game. Kind of like me, but I stuck with Hakumen. Ha! Yeah. So I feel like that's very common. And with zoners, and this might just be me because I played zoners for a long time, right? Like I played Peacock for quite a while. And I played Peacock solo in a game where nearly everyone I faced had at least 2 or 3 characters at the same time. So I had to be good at defense, reversals, but even better, not getting cornered in the first place. So I might be biased here, but I feel like a lot of people don't understand how to deal with zoners, not just because they have problems with patience, like walking forward and blocking and not being scared of the chip, but also because they don't understand when the zoner wants to move forward. And I feel like playing a zoner just immediately puts the fear of the corner into you, and you understand that actually walking back all the time is a losing strategy. And if people got that more, then I think they'd actually have less trouble with zoners, because then they'd understand, I've cornered the zoner, he wants to get out. It's a bad idea to just now run at him from 2 sweep distances away, because he'll either jump out, teleport, or whichever option he has. Like, you have to actually be patient and get the zoner to lose the movement mind game. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
So to be fair to the others, Peacock is one obnoxious zoner. It's not
Yes.
your typical zoner, but yeah.
Yes, this is definitely true.
For me, this is way different anyways, because, like, again, I don't have much experience with zoners, since usually at best, I think the only real super hard zoner I've played against is your Peacock, and I'm not very proficient in Skywars, and I never was. The best thing I did was Beowulf chair a bunch.
Yeah.
That's the best I got. But in Smash zoners work so much different.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
yes, you put a bunch of shit out, but it's more about choosing the right moment to shoot your thing. Because in Smash you want to catch them while they try to get in, and you don't just want to, like, at least it feels like with Peacock, your main strategy is put things on the screen the enemy has to do something about. At least that's what it feels like playing against. And in Smash, it's like you try to bait them into doing the option where your thing definitely hits, because you can't put that many out as in other games. So you try to keep them at a safe distance and then condition them into walking into your thing, basically.
Yeah,
That feels a lot different.
Yes, I will say though, that's actually important for every zoner, including Peacock, but Peacock does have the option of doing exactly what you said. It's just like, okay, here are the projectiles that I don't think are important, that are just there to condition where you think you can move. That's what those are for. Like, and then I have a few projectiles where I'm like, these are more likely to hit, or these are more likely where he has to block. And then I have to think about, where's my screen position? Where's his? Where is he going to move? And based on that, I have to decide to stand, move back, move forward, teleport behind him, because if someone does like an air dash and you teleport behind them, that moves you the maximum distance away and you're no longer cornered, probably. So yeah, every projectile is for movement conditioning, but indeed, it's not like in Smash, because a lot of these are more like, here's the peppering with the machine gun, he'll duck under some of this. And here are the more important ones. I guess when we're talking about 2D zoning, maybe since this is a character we all know, Tamaki and Asuka 120% limit over is more like a Smash Zoner, because that's also not like a game where you can just fire off your projectiles and stay away, right? You have to.
Tennis girl?
Yeah, Tennis Girl.
Yeah.
Oh yes, she's fun.
Yeah. I think she's maybe a little similar to Smash Zoning, but when we're talking about Smash Zoning, it gets pretty confusing anyway, right? Because
Well,
it's not
So
exactly.
different. My damn screen keeps freezing up. Not freezing up, but my PC keeps going into rest mode because I'm not doing anything.
Yeah. But yeah, to finish my sentence, like Smash Zoning is also very different because nearly every character's projectiles work very, very different and need to work different due to the way movement even works in that game, right? You can't just be like, here, this horizontal is, deal with it by jumping or ducking. What the fuck are you talking about? In my jump, I move slightly back and over. it's just yeah, that's just not a thing.
Peacock would be close to Smash
Smash
Zoning
Zoning.
if she was not able to do everything at the same time.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's the correct assessment there, yeah.
I was about to add, but Smash Zones also can't work that way like Peacock because your movement is way more fluid and dynamic. So Zoras have a way easier time of getting away from enemies since you can just, everyone's faster. Running is more like actually three-dimensional, not just backwards and forwards, since the upwards axis is used way more. So that's why Zoras also have to be different. Because otherwise they would just be too oppressive since they can zone you the fuck out and then also move however they want.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, though this will be more like an afterthought, I guess, because most of us talked about specifics. So I guess maybe Andela should play a zoner, like specific people we just didn't make a comment on. I feel though that way that is because like most of the people we have currently in the group are either too new to tell which direction they're going, or actually have their own stuff going on where isn't really room to say much in that direction. Fumpfen, for example, used to be new to fighting games when this group started out, or rather new in the sense that he just never played extremely competitive until that point. He was part of the BlazBlue EO Open, but before he started running it, or a little bit after he started running it, it wasn't as, let's say, the competitive thing that is today. He just had like obvious flaws, and me and McMurphy were like the people that played since Street Fighter 2, so in our little tiny OG brains we were like, well, he just needs more neutral. To be fair, he did. But our solution was to just play games like Garou, Third Strike with him and that sort of stuff to just show him this sort of side. And he did start playing King of Fighters and some stuff like that. And at this point in time, I think he understands enough about that. Whether that improved his gameplay or whatever, I know that I helped out a little bit with zoning that he did, but he learned most of that from somebody else who specifically played that character, so I have no idea. I haven't talked to him about that. Yeah, so I guess I also don't have anything specific other than myself. For a long time, I didn't understand Rushdown. Like, I had this problem that I was describing about zoners and grapplers, but with Rushdown. All I knew was how to defend, and my defense was somewhat strong, but I always felt that there were decisions that they were making which, if I understood what they were thinking about, maybe I could defend better. That's just like a general idea. And then I really wanted to get into Rushdown, and took a long time for stuff to click. I'm glad that via Melty Blood mostly, that actually did start to work. I think I understand now when to throw out a move that moves me forward, or when I'm supposed to take a step forward. I still get punished a lot, but at least now I kind of get the idea, rather than just it being this weird mystery where I'm in front of someone, I'm supposed to pressure them. I guess I'll hit them a while, because the most thing that I want is to have the pushback so that I'll be further away when I get to a range that I feel more comfortable with. That was mostly what I did as quote-unquote pressure until that point in time, which is somewhat recent. So I do feel that helps. Any comments on that, or should I grab like another sub question.
Not really much to add there. Like I said, I agree with that. You can learn without playing a character archetype yourself, but it helps you understand the basics if you just play them like once or twice to see what they want to do. So you can definitely learn if you don't want to play. Like I don't really want to play zoners because, like I said, I was conditioned by playing with my friends so much that I don't like that kind of play style. So we'll just have to play against more zoners. But then I'm also like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to get shot at. So that's the predicament I'm in. So I guess in the end, I'm just gonna have to find some zoner I have to play to learn that a bit better.
Yeah. And
yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately, just pure zoning characters, at least in this group, aren't very popular. And the reason that I currently don't pick them is that I feel that I have like a very high proficiency at zoning, so I don't usually, when we get to a new game, I don't usually pick a zoner just to pick a zoner. Like, I guess in Marvel my team is that way, but I pick them because it's interdimensional demons. So, yeah, but...
Also, sorry, go ahead.
No.
In newer games, like zoners are less and less common because in, like, for example, Dragon Ball, zoning is not a thing you can do. It just doesn't work. There's no character that can efficiently zone, or even a full team. You can zone for like one or two, like, instances of people trying to dash in, but they're gonna get in if they want to get in. And that's like more and more games. I feel like true zoners aren't really that much of a thing. In Arcana Blood, Arthur, Million Arthur, I also don't see a really true zoner. The best I see is that girl with the gun, but movement is like still so high that I don't see her actually zoning people out.
I think the witch is meant to be the zoner in that game, but she isn't. Yeah.
Okay, I've just never seen her.
Yeah, like she has lasers and stuff, so
she has lasers and a Mega Man Buster, basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that move I saw. Computers always charge. That's weird.
Yeah.
It's so annoying. It does like the sound of a Mega Man Buster, so you have that ringing all the time. That's so annoying.
I see.
Yeah.
I guess that's also maybe a generational thing, just because that's like a sound where I'm like, yeah, I'm used to this. I mean, like on the NES, right? It's just, but I guess having like a lot of auditory, let's say, garbage in a game is just also no longer really a thing, especially with like arcades, right? Because like, what was the strategy like for arcade machines? Be loud. Okay, now every arcade machine's really loud, so it doesn't help anymore. Well, maybe if they scream specific things, combo breaker, that's where that came from. Like, you were like just minding your business in the bowling alley or arcade where you're at, and just suddenly it's just combo breaker from somewhere. Like, what the fuck? Where'd that come from? It's so loud. And then like when people tuned that down, or I guess maybe the Japanese didn't do it for that long because that was more like a US American description, you had to have like flashy and colorful visuals on the attract mode, which is why it's called that, attracting the customer, right? The thing that runs if you don't press start. So that if somebody walks by, it's like, oh wow, cool. For example, Blaze Blue's attract mode was specifically made to be very, very different. So it has like a very strong singular color thing, like all of the blue that they use. The way that the supers work completely alters the color of the screen, just because that was a specific design choice. Every fighting game does this to some extent, but that was kind of like the idea, that you'd have like more of a chance of seeing this kind of screen-wide change to see it. At least Mori said so. He made Blaze Blue. I'll trust him that that was what he was thinking. Yeah. Okay. I had a brief brain fart, but I guess we can move on to a next question, right? Yep. Almost done anyway. We actually hit most of the questions that I had written up with some other stuff, so ironically I think I only have this, which I think we don't have like too strong of an opinion on, but are there characters or games that you think are underrepresented in fighting games in general, and or newer games in particular, i.e. that there is some sort of subtype of characters or types of fighting games or mechanics, even if you want to go in that direction, that overall just haven't appeared a lot in fighting games, or that particularly in newer fighting games, let's say the last 2-3 years, whatever you want to consider current, no, haven't appeared. Yeah, so I guess we'll start again with let's turn around. Let's have Vic say that one first.
Okay, so well, we did talk about that. I guess a lot of projectile with physics is not a thing, and I would love to have that a bit more. We did talk about Puppet, but Puppet is like becoming more and more a thing. At least in anime game, feel like there is always one Puppet character at some point. So
yeah,
Dragon Ball doesn't have one.
Well, Dragon Ball sucks, so that's normal.
Yeah, Dragon Ball's geared towards beginners. That's true.
Yeah.
well,
Well,
that doesn't
and
mean
it's
it
also
has
like
to
Dragon...
suck.
Yeah. Dragon Ball is a bit too streamlined, and a lot of characters do the same shit. So
Yes.
that's a problem of their own. But yeah. Outside that, like newer game or underrepresented like style. Well, pure zoner or pure grappler are becoming less and less common, I guess, as we said. And I guess that's for the better for me. But I think it's mainly like there is no 2D footsies game like old ones nowadays. So I guess that's the main reason. Because you can't like put like Zangief into a Marvel game like straight up just like that, because it wouldn't work for him. So yeah.
Poor Snow White, huh?
Well, yeah, but she's not like grappler. She still has like way more modern stuff than just like Zangief move slow, can't really dash.
She has screen wide range, which helps her.
Exactly.
Screen wide range is indeed like a little less Zangief-y, but other than that, she's actually kind of classic.
Yeah, but those little things already help a lot, because
Sure.
she also has this anti-projectile stuff and such, and also it's a game with assists, so you can use your assists to help get in, even if you don't have a projectile yourself and things.
She has a role. She has a dash. She still has like more stuff than a pure Zangief. Like I can walk and grab you and jab you. That's what I meant. Like
Yeah,
there is
definitely.
no games that are just like footsies like that now.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just been like also a general quote-unquote evolution that grapplers sort of had, right? Like they started getting stuff like anti-air grabs and then armored moves, which is usually what some would use to get through projectiles and other stuff like that. So that's definitely trying to catch up to sort of let's say not really catch up, but to put such a character in an anime fighter, right? Because that's usually where that problem occurs. So it's like this guy's just too slow to move, but somehow Potemkin is still in Guilty Gear. Just he has a bunch of stuff to deal with that. Armored moves, command grabs, stuff that moves him forward.
Earthquake.
Earthquake,
Yeah.
exactly. Earthquake moves. So Bobo didn't need that. I play Bobo, but fuck him. What the hell?
Yeah.
In Double Dragon.
I mean, he grabs. He has Tomahawk. So yeah.
He just does a bunch of damage. Just hit people, right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, they were close. I got you with my super command grab. How much damage does it? You won't live to understand this.
Yep.
Just yeah. Not as bad as Lilith, I feel, but still like, I mean the command grab, but still it hurts so hard. Just
Yeah, Lilith is way more grappler than Abubo is a grappler, I think.
Oh yeah. Definitely. Like Vanguard Princess Lilith, just so Undale knows. Okay. Undale, do you have like a opinion about any of that?
Yes, because as I learned to love grappling in Smash was I run at people and they are scared that I hit them, so I can grab them. And it wasn't really like this classic 2D fighting game mix-up of every grappler is a slow-ass dude who never gets anywhere if he doesn't condition the enemy perfectly. I really miss this kind of character in 2D fighting games because the only one I can think of on the top of my head as a grappler that is not big ass slow dude is like Mikan in Unite Inbirth because she actually runs fast. She does, I think, have actually a command grab. Maybe it's only for combos. I'm not 100% sure. But she's like the only kind of character that works somehow like that, like a character that is a grappler, but also is not just slow and doesn't go anywhere. I really miss that kind of character because it works so well in Smash, but I'm not sure it would actually like be too strong or something in other games.
It's a thing. It's like it's just called like mixed grappler, more or less.
No, I haven't really seen any games I recently played. That's the
Well,
thing.
at first, like I thought you were going Mika from Super 5, and she would be like closer than Mika from Unist, because Mika is a pretty poor grappler in Unist. Like her grabs are like takeable, and the only one that's not takeable is a super, right, son of?
Correct. Like she needs 100 meter to have like an untackable classic command grab. It doesn't do a lot of damage, so it's more like just a thing to finish someone off suddenly, or if you have Vorpal, cancel, and then run after them into a combo. Other than that, that's kind of it. So she's definitely a mixed grappler, but she's a very strange, unique beast.
She's more like a beast cannon type character who has a command grab.
Yeah.
Kinda.
And this weird stagger stuff where it's like, am I continuing my combo or will I suddenly grab you? And she can just do that like at a longer range. That's basically what her quote-unquote technical command grab is about.
That, so
yeah, exactly. Like it's more like a rushdown character who has beast cannons, but is like slightly more proficient at what range they can suddenly do a normal grab. That's sort of Mika, I feel.
For Miss Grappler, anyone in Vampire Savior, basically, has like a command grab.
Yeah.
And they can do all other like type of shit. After that,
Blaze Blue has a bullet, was also strange.
No,
but
I wanted to say that, but Bullet is not really like a mixed grappler because none of her grabs are actual command grabs. They are hit grabs.
Yeah, or I think
she has a super command grab.
Doesn't she also have like one normal command grab? I think she had a 360. I'm not 100%.
She has supers that are 360s. Indeed, her regular thing where she just jumps at you is a hit grab.
Yes, but she also has like some special moves that are then they are probably also hit grabs.
Yeah, she does have something, but actually now that you mentioned, she does have a special move where she runs at someone and then actually grabs them, I think. But a bullet just has trouble landing that one usually, so you don't see it quite as often.
Also, I heard that she's not that good in Central Fiction, which makes me sad.
Bullet was never good. Bullet was always interesting, but she never did any damage. The only thing they did fix is the damage part in Central Fiction, but now she still has like trouble actually doing her game plan because it's really complicated.
She has really short move, like short range move.
It's sad because Bullet would like be the thing why I would want to play Central Fiction again because I really like her. Like her combos look super cool because you just throw enemies through the air and blast them, and then you catch them again and stuff. But if it just doesn't work, it's not fun.
As long as you're not attending combos, I do recommend trying Bullet. It's not like other people automatically know how to deal with that stuff.
True.
Like I don't think you'd have problems just trying to implement her game plan. Like you can talk to Nargrim, though he might have a pessimistic view about this. He did try a bit, but he did try like earlier Bullet that was like a little rougher and I don't know. Yeah. Okay, I guess I'll answer the question now, and then we can wrap it up, kind of. I mean, you guys can still reply to me, of course. I I think like Ooh. I mean, obviously, if I say something like floaty fighters are underrepresented, that's like a thing, but it's not like there are a lot of these games, like these games where you can free move and it's a fighting game in some way.
I was like, Jigglypuff?
Yeah, just a game where everyone's fucking Jigglypuff and you don't really need to step on the ground. Just yeah, you know, like Cho Aniki or like the later Touhou fighting games, those kinds of games. But that's just more like I want to see this more explored. It feels like that's not like a fair answer. Kind of similar platform fighters. Yes, there are quite a few. But I feel like there need to be more so that the, let's say, Smash hegemony turns more into like a situation where Smash is the Street Fighter of platform fighters rather than you play Smash or you're crazy. That sort of issue.
I mean, Brawlhalla was at CEO, I think.
Brawlhalla was at CEO, and there was also one other game with the
Probably Rivals of
fairies.
Ether.
Yeah, Rivals of Ether or Ether, whatever. Yeah, those two did have like a little bit of a showing, and I'm sure that some of the others that are just coming out, like we'll see one or two of those at some point at, if not CEO, at Combo Breaker, because they often have like a small combo tournament like that. But I feel like more of that could be done. So games-wise, basically, I want to say I don't have anything too specific. When it comes to characters, I actually don't feel like I feel like in a sense what you guys said is true. There haven't been a lot of like traditional fighting games that are like very footsie based. On the other hand, it seems like that's the en vogue direction now because of it, no? So MK11 toned down all this running at each other thing. It's like a way slower game. The newest season of Street Fighter V, even though it's still very rushdowny, it has given like more precedence to strategies that involve a stronger neutral game, like the latest season, I mean. You have the comparison of where Million Arthur went compared to Nitro Plus Blasters is a bit hard, but I feel like that also goes like in more of a direction of like an anime game that actually involves some footsies. Unist, I guess I don't have to say is more like that, but those two have been around for a while, like Nitro Plus and Unist, so it came out around the same time, so just not really a now argument. And you have the new Sam show coming out, and what's it called, Grand Blue Fantasy?
Yes.
Grand Blue Fantasy Versus. So those two games seem to also be like neutral oriented. But looking at the rosters, I mean, Sam Show I think has a clear grappler, but that character is not in the new Sam Show. There are command grab characters in that game, but like Genjuro has one, and he's more like a, I don't know, power Shoto, but a lot of characters in Sam Show have a DP and a fireball, so it's kind of hard to single him out that way. Earthquake has command grabs, but yeah, they're also not like a main tool that he needs to get to. Actually, Earthquake is more like a zoner with ninja teleports. He's just big fat man with this, what's this ninja chain called with the hook? That's the weapon he has anyway. Naruto weapon. Yeah. So to be fair, like in these upcoming traditional fighting games, Grand Blue Fantasy seems to have a classic grappler, but I haven't seen gameplay of that guy except for the trailer, so I have no idea if it actually works out to being that way. It's true that like you don't have like the just grappler or just zoner as much anymore. I wonder if that'll be a trend. I mean, I hope not. Like something I harp on about already is that like charge characters became rarer over the over the years, no? Like,
Is it rare
What?
or like super complex? Like charging every
Yes.
direction possible.
exactly. Which, on the one hand, yes, the people really asking for charges, like the ones really at the top, who are like, yeah, I want to do charge stuff, those guys will be super happy to have a charge character that charges in all directions, but everybody else who just wants to play a charge character is not that happy with that. Yeah, just, because, yeah, that is, like, way complex. Like, I guess while she wasn't the trendsetter, she definitely, I think, is maybe the first one, like Saki from Arcana Heart. She also charges in all directions.
One question, quick answer is like, what was the newest game with charge characters in it? Because like the recent releases I have in my head, none of them have charge characters.
Grand Blue Fantasy has at least one charge character.
Oh, they will have one. That's nice.
Yes, Charlotta is a charge character.
The little girl, okay.
The little girl is a charge character.
I don't care for her, so I'm fine with that.
I don't know if there's another one.
Still charges?
KOF still has all of their charges, but in tradition of SNK, there isn't a true charge character in KOF. They're just characters that have a charge. No one really relies on constantly charging or something like that.
Street Fighter still has like charge character?
Street Fighter V has a bunch of charge characters still, yes. I think that's just though because Street Fighter has like a strong legacy with that sort of thing. It's kind of like Guilty Gear, right? Guilty Gear's charge characters are still charge characters. Venom is still a charge character. That's that sort of thing. If we're really talking about like just other newer games, then it gets it is indeed like, other than Grand Blue Fantasy, I can't really think of one. It's kind of, I guess, because people think doing charges is hard nowadays, right? The opinion back then was that charges are easier because they're not motions, but that kind of changed with, I guess, the way we've come to understand fighting games. So nowadays we're like, we know how to do all of this tech. Charge characters need to do their completely own different kind of tech, and that stuff gets hard. Maybe that's why. I don't know.
I think nowadays we're going away from that again, because as you see, a lot of new fighting games are now approaching this with like non-motion special moves. So it's interesting that charge basically fell off over the years. Maybe we'll see the same with normal motions soon.
I guess actually for a while I thought that, but I guess actually not, because the only game that went more in this direction was Grand Blue Fantasy, I thought. But if you look at Grand Blue Fantasy, how the mechanics work is basically for. Do you both know?
Yeah, you can still do motions as far as I know.
Yeah, but do you know what the Yeah, they are better because basically, you have cooldown timers on your specials. But if you use the motion, the cooldown timer will tick to being ready again basically before you can do your next special move input anyway. Whereas if you use the button, you actually have to wait a little bit. So doing motions is much better than actually using that the one button thing. So yeah, ironically, that game is going to be one that that pushes people towards using motions. Yeah, and MK didn't give a shit about this direction of making like easier inputs. They just have the inputs that they've had, no? Which, to be fair, since MK9 is not just taps but also quarter circles and stuff like that. I mean, they started with that before. I'm just saying it's become more prevalent that MK characters have actual normal human being motions. And Sam Show and KOF, well, SNK seems to they did take out some stuff, right? Like you don't have pretzels anymore, but they didn't take out anything else. Like SNK motions, actual wreckers, doing half circles, half circle back forward, this sort of stuff is all still present even in their newest game, like Sam Show 7 or 2019. So I guess actually people have come around to the idea that whatever it was that made Dragon Ball Fighter Z popular certainly didn't make BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle popular, and whatever worked in Cross Tag Battle doesn't seem to be around the simplification of the moves. Because no one actually particularly enjoyed or played the game due to that. I've heard some people say that, but like a very small percentage. Yeah?
There is actual games that tried to do moves that Blade Strangers
Yes.
and SRK Heroines, I guess.
Yep.
Right? But yeah, none of them really worked as much as the other main games, so I really don't think that it will be a new change like for no motion completely.
Yeah.
Not
And
true,
while yeah, please.
I think it's basically also because like the fighting game community is already niche, and the people that play it are like, I want to play this. I don't want to play this non-motion game, because I remember there was like this game a while back that tried to do that as well, but I forgot the name. There was like this also. I totally forgot the name, so it doesn't matter. But it was a game where you didn't have motions and you just had your special moves with like buttons and stuff, and your combos. People had like 3 life, and you didn't have combos, so it just was just about hitting them 3 times or something. Something
Fantasy
along
Strike.
those lines. Yes, and that game I never saw again.
Yeah. It's fallen
it's still
off
not
of people's. It was just released. I think it was just released, or it's being released next month, something like that. But yeah, it's still in early access. Yeah.
But I didn't hear anything about that ever again, because I feel like the main fighting game community that actually wants to play fighting games also wants to do the motions. They want to do the technical part of the game, and since fighting games are not this huge mainstream thing, it is not that important to simplify the inputs. That's true.
Yeah, I think what I would find more interesting is if you had this as a kind of new input archetype. For example, I think the inclusion of Jacko in Guilty Gear is a much better idea. That you have like a character whose moves are balanced around the fact that she can just press a button in a direction and get them, rather than making a whole game like that. And then you can just point at her as being the character for that. No, you like, here's your Shoto, here's your charge character, here's your button press character. There.
Yeah, the gorilla.
Yeah, just I think that's what I actually hope will come out of like the Grand Blue Fantasy, like the idea that you could actually just have a character like that instead of throwing fighting games in that direction, which indeed now people seem to agree that that's not necessary, and that whatever new people start joining fighting games actually don't care about this particular aspect. Like there are definitely people that are scared off of fighting games because it's hard, and they do definitely mention as part of their arguments that the inputs are difficult to remember. But as we all know, there are other genres where nobody complains about this fact, and they're much harder. If you've ever played a mecha piloting game where you have 20 to 30 commands on a keyboard, you just play them and then you know how to do it, right? Like that's way more complex than knowing that you do quarter circle forward for fireball, 3 strength, 3 different fireball. That is pales in comparison to controlling your heating system, switching to the right weapon, checking that it's not currently damaged, putting your repair towards your legs so that you can move slightly faster while actually trying to aim at someone. Like it's but people kind of accept it for that genre. So I really feel that like people that say that fighting game controls are hard is they actually would find fighting games hard for like a whole bunch of other reasons too. And that's just like one more thing that they add to it to convince themselves they wouldn't be able to do it. I'm not saying that actually fighting game motions are easy, but I'm also not saying that they're difficult. I just think it's something to get used to, like in any other game. If you've never headshotted anyone in a first-person shooter, then you'll have trouble doing so for a while.
Yes, I really like Apex Legends, for example, but I suck at shooters, so I don't play it anymore.
Yeah. Any closing comments? Or the topics, I mean, that we discussed?
Nothing really.
Okay.
my
But this stack is still in early access.
It's still in early access.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I could go on about hating on that game. Let's not do that.
Yeah.
I would join you. I really
Yeah.
didn't like it.
Yeah. Like if there's one thing I can say about it is that if its purpose is to introduce people to fighting games, I think it actually would scare off more people than it would get them
It's
into
the
it.
most unfair beginner fighting game.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
Will certainly the next Grand Blue Final Fantasy game, but we'll see.
Yeah. Okay, then topic-wise, we're concluded. By the way, I guess I didn't say that when Andele came in. I'm recording this, but I don't plan on uploading it. I just want to have it as a recording to give it a look over to see how the thing works out. If we happen to do this more often, then I might consider uploading it, but whatever for now. So how did this format feel? Was this fun?
Do you want to still record that, or do you want to?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I mean, I can cut this off from the end if I need to, ever. Right now, it's just gonna be on my computer to look at to see what could be improved. Though I've done this sort of setup before for other things, so I'm reasonably confident it went fine structurally. But was it fun?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was definitely interesting to hear like other people's opinions about things and hear what they think about topics and compare and stuff. Yeah, if I don't oversleep next time, maybe I can also actually prepare a bit more. But that's on my end.
Oh, I don't think that's ultimately necessary. Like, you can, of course, props to you, but as long as the guy that's leading the thing or moderating the thing has some backup questions, I do think that we'll be fine for any topic. As long as someone doesn't vastly overestimate how much people have to say to a topic. It's like, so let's talk about grapplers, and 3 people are like, hate them, and 2 are like, I don't understand them, and you're like, that was 5 minutes. What the fuck do we do now? Need a backup plan for those, but other than that, yeah.
Don't worry, I could talk on about grapplers and Smash and how that works.
Yeah. Vic?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm in moderating mode still. Okay. So yeah, it was fun.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Should we think about doing this again sometime? I mean, I have no plans for when, just in general.
Well, yeah. Why not? Like, when that was said to just stop here, like we can try another time and see how it goes.
Yeah.
Let's hope that the water doesn't explode for me this time too.
Yeah, though it was no problem. I just talked with Ezrael a little bit about something, and you were then back in 5 to 10 minutes, I guess, so whatever. Yeah, like I feel like this is good too, because just sharing a talk about a topic where someone says this is sort of the direction we want to talk in, so everyone's like slightly more focused, is a nice idea to do for pretty much anything. I'm glad it's come to this. I mean, the first time this was proposed was like almost 2 years ago now by McMurphy and myself, and only shortly before McMurphy left last year did it come up again together with Godkaiser. And then Godkaiser pushed me again a little bit, like two months ago or so. So I've got this thing ready to go, basically based on that. Yeah, like that works out. Yeah, that's exactly the unfair character in that game. Like this color rushdown character who takes so much off of your life bar I really, you know, that makes me think, like, he talks about all this traditional thing and basically you just have to make the right calls, but you see that the guy is a Guilty Gear player. Just yeah,
Because
like,
this mix up would have like removed like 5 or 6. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5. So it would have killed a lot of other character.
Basically, anyone that's not a big boy grappler.
Exactly.
yeah,
It would have one-shot Valerie.
yeah.
Right. So yeah.
And then there's two things, right? Do you find like filthy setups like these in other fighting games? Yes, but they're not that prevalent. So what is this doing in like a beginner fighter? And the other thing is like, these characters that can do these filthy setups, they don't take 55% of your health with them.
Yep.
But because of the way the health works here, they totally do. Yeah. Just, yeah. But by the way, I guess I'll hit stop recording now.
Yeah.